I'm a bit late. Do apologise. Such as life has it been. Very blustery down here in Bournemouth. Hope you're all doing well. I need to just turn that sound off as well. So, yeah. How you doing? How's your week been so far? From the messages from energy. Any sort of, and also from that thing on Cymatic TV, which I did last week about the alignments of the planets, and how was the third and the fourth, and did you come to realization, Friday, Saturday, sort of thing. There's been a lot going on in the way of sort of solar flares and energy that's been changing a lot at the moment. There's been another X flare that's come off earlier on today and this morning. And I've already been speaking to people. What Tanya was telling me that she woke up at 6:30. A lot of people do. Once you become aware of, solar activity, you can understand certain things within your life as well. And so you can put things into context in regards to, is it me or is it the sun? Or is the sun having a part to be played upon our lives? And so I try and relate that in Cymatic TV as much as possible. Obviously, we go into the scientific side of it all a little bit. And we look at the sun and so forth, because that's what prana is. If you look at Ayurveda, they've got 5 different winds of prana, and it corresponds to those 5 winds of sort of like the solar flares, filament energies, corona holes, the sort of near misses electromagnetic field, as it were, and the sort of light that comes off of it. So it affects the earth in multitudes of different ways, and it affects us as individuals in multitudes of different ways. And then when we get the alignments of the planets, it almost gives it a definition to the message that is coming through. And that's why I did the alignments with 3i Atlas. Now, since it's come out of perihelion, it's apparently changed direction and it changed speed. And we're now starting to see that it hasn't really changed direction and it hasn't really changed speed. When it had like the jet coming out the front of it rather than like a normal comet like out the back of it, it's like electromagnetics. When you take 2 fridge magnets and you try and push them together, they're obviously going to push away. And that's what 3i Atlas was doing, because it knew it wasn't sort of, and this is where the universe does have a form of consciousness, certainly when we're looking at planets. So it's sort of saying, this is not my place, my final resting place, or my place of impact and so forth. So it went past the sun, and the sun conveyed a message on its way through, trying to help it as it's developing, as it's going through, because it does take a memory with it, because it has material, and that material contains memory within it, and it will, when it finds its resting spot in some other sort of solar system, it will, convey that information out to that solar system. And that explains a little bit about the evolutionary process that happens on, say, like planet Earth and etc. It can change considerably, a lot of things, and how the Akashic libraries were developed and so forth, because it is a process that we sort of go through. So we sort of understand that. And looking at 3i Atlas, it's got all these jets that are coming out of it at the moment. And I think that's because it's now expressing itself as it's getting in tune a little bit with the magnetic field of the solar system. And therefore it's getting multitudes of reactions within its own magnetic field, which is creating that electromagnetism that can be seen by multitudes of sort of jets that are coming out and so forth. And then it's not the first, it's got to be said, it's not the first comet that we've seen this happening upon. We've seen it for Hale Bob as well, was one of them. There's a multitudes of different ones. But anyway, it's like, yeah, it's that information that's sort of coming through at the moment, and maybe we're sort of seeing that as well within the world around us. Um, Suli, how you doing? Um, how have I been? I've been okay. I've been okay. It's a really grounding week, actually. It's been a really beautiful grounding week. I'll go into that in a minute. And so, yeah, basically, it seemed to expressing itself in multiple different ways, and that outgassing that we can see on Three Eye Atlas could way be the fact that it may actually be gradually breaking apart as it slowly makes its way out of our solar system. Frija, how you doing? Lovely to see you. Yeah, so it's been a very interesting week. I feel humbled this week. I think that's the best way to describe it. You have, through the series of, I wouldn't be so pretentious to sort of say I've gone through the enlightenment, but I have. And it's like, it sounds really pretentious. I don't really like it, but it's a learning process that, and I always sort of say, the person who knows they know nothing the moment they know. And I've used that for multitudes of years. And that's that whole understanding is that you walk into a room, you discover the room, you start to know everything that is in the room, and then you see another door, and then so you know everything in that one room, and then you open the door and you go through into another room, and all of a sudden you know nothing. And reminds me of 40 Tales. I know nothing, But I've got to bring up, actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because I can't quite see. I need to bring up the comments. Oh, here we go. So, Julie, hello, Julie. Frisia, hello. Getting there. I hope you are. Let me change over so we can actually sort of see maybe the comments as well for when we're, if I put it back out later on. Yeah, so I feel really humbled this week. And with a peaceful connection with everything, in a sense that it's like it's not that I don't have to try, but it's like I don't have to prove anything. That's how I feel at the moment. It's really nice. It's a beautiful feeling. A really good feeling of peace, I guess. A lot of, peace involved in it. So, and it feels like that now the truths that I think became obvious to everybody already, that, you reading between the lines in the world around us, you can definitely see the truths of the situation. And it's almost as if like the truths are now that it's like they've revealed themselves and now they're passing over into action. And I think the last quarter of this year, certainly November and December, this last quarter, I think we're moving into the truth in action. That's what I feel like we're moving into. And it feels like this week here was a very humbling moment this week. Really beautiful sensation. And that's really floated with me all the way through this week. The message from energy really did sort of strike a chord with me in a really nice way. And it's, made me very sort of like humble and stuff like that. Did anybody get like a clear understanding of how things sort of worked and stuff like that? did you understand things a little bit easier? And this is what I mean about truth in action as well. You know, we saw that the people at the BBC, I don't know if you've ever seen contentment. Yeah, it'd be nice. Yeah, contentment. I guess that's runs pretty true with it. Yeah. You know, it's. Did anyone see the thing about the BBC? And it's like, you know, that's truth sort of that's coming into action as well, and it's kind of like, whoa. I think it's going to have a lot of knock-on effects, and I think this is a lot of that we need to do. We need to become aware of how things are going, and it brought me onto another thing as well. That I started, you know, who's going to be. The question was, I was looking into, because, you know, I do the messages from energy. I better explain this actually. I do the messages from energy, and I try and do it in a very detached way. I try and be as detached as I possibly can. I don't like to be personally involved in it, because it's supposed to be a glimpse for everybody in a way, you know, through the messages. So I try and keep it that. I try and keep very detached about it, so it's not on a personal sort of level. And you know, but I'm constantly going back, visiting through meditations on various times during the day, and checking in. And there's one thing I was looking at as well, was about, you know, what is the governance going to be like in 2028, which is 2.5 years away, 2 and a bit years away. You know, it's 3 years away, basically. And it was really weird, because there was no sort of, I couldn't get a confirmation on the person that could well be the governance. And what I was getting more than anything else, and this is where I think the understanding's coming a lot more, and I think I don't think it's going to stop for many years to come, and I think that's got to do with the age of Aquarius and Pluto going into Aquarius as well. I don't think that's going to stop. I think we're going to get a very creative, in governance. And it was more a question of not who will be in the position of governance, but more a question of how we do governance. And that's, I feel like, Sissy, hello, lovely to see you. That's what I feel like is going to be the hot topic in 26, 27. There'll be a real question mark over, you know, it's like, I was thinking this, and like, you know, like we go to the ballot box, right, once every 4 years, you know, and you have midterm elections and stuff like that as well, yes. But, you know, primarily it's like once every 4 years. And this once every 4 years is like, in a way, it's like having a sum of money and going up to a builder and just sort of saying, look, I've got a piece of land, here's all my money, build me something with 3 bedrooms, without having any decision about what colour it is, what it looks like, how big's the living room, you know what I mean? And that's basically what our governance is. That we turn up once every 4 years and kind of go, here, look, there you go, now do what you like with it. And I think that's going to be the biggest hot topic over the next couple of years. It's going to really spark a conversation. And that's all to do with that conscious shift as well. that's coming through, and it's yeah, it's a so I'm constantly doing things like that during the week. I'm constantly checking into energies, and a lot of it is obviously also on a personal level, and personal in the sense of who I am and how I convey and what I do and stuff like that. And also about energy and because you never stop learning about things, and that's absolutely brilliant. There is that X flare that will be coming through in the next few days, and I think I'm gonna try and do a live on a ley line as it comes through, because you can always feel like certainly X flares or certainly flares, and you can feel as well when there's like earth energy coming through. So at the moment, this is with the real fire energy that's coming through at the moment, but it is very electrodynamic. So it's going to be affecting our sort of aura really more than sort of like anything else. So how we engage in the electromagnetic field around us, that's what our aura does. It's sort of like it feels, you have layers like a magnetic field, or if you like, you can look at it as different atmospheres, atmospheric sort of, you've got the stratosphere, the ionosphere, you've got lots of different things that are going on within the atmosphere of the Earth. And if you look at the aura a little bit like that, so some of it is permeable. It's permeable. And that's what creates that sort of sensation of the feeling of the outside world as well. It gives us another sense of the feeling of the outside world on an immediate level. And then you have layers that are inside that are pretty much impermeable, because that's your internal space, as it were. And morning also, it's on. Happy Sunday to all. Yes, happy Sunday to all, Sissy and Chrissy. It's you're always learning. You're always learning about the sort of energies that are sort of going on at the moment, and it'd be good to be on the ley line and feeling that and conveying that. So I'm trying to pick a crossing point round here, where I'd like to investigate and go dowsing and on the time that the energy is sort of coming through. I might even try and do it in a live and stuff like that. So Suli, you got a question. So an artificial intelligence. So let me bring that back so I can see it. An artificial intelligence begins the displacement jobs. Governments will need to adapt and find ways to support those affected by this transition. Well, that's what the social credit is all about. But the thing is, if you look at AI, the first people it is going to be affecting is people like lawyers, sort of even architects. It's going to be sort of like the middle class rather than like what would be considered the working class. And it certainly won't be affecting the elites at the beginning, and I think the elites are counting on the fact that AI will just prop them up in another category. That's what I feel like it's doing. But the collective consciousness will begin to unfold. It certainly will, and I think this is where that whole question about governance, I think, will become really important to everybody, because we have the technology to do more than just turn up once every 4 years, put a cross on a bit of paper, and that's our bit done for the next 4 years. I think that's what's going to be asking a lot more sort of questions, And I think energy's pushing that and has been pushing that for some time. It starts with a conscious revelation within oneself, and this you can look at this as a personal sort of thing as well. Once you get that revelation within you, kind of sort of saying, "Do you know what? I like working with dolphins on a Caribbean beach." If that's that realization within you, then you start on the process of how can I achieve that dream or that goal, and then you then start on the physical sort of steps. And I think this is what we're doing now. We're sort of kind of going, we will start to entertain the ideas of how can we physically get to where we want to be collectively as we go forward. Been a funny week, has it, Julie? Looking who I was, who I am, and who I want to be. Oh, right. Lots of light bulb moments that come and go in minutes. This is it. It is. And sometimes it's like when we ask, because that's quite big questions, isn't it? You know what I mean? Of who I am, who I was, and everything like that. And it does concertina at moments where it kind of like a prism that's swinging around. You kind of go, oh, look, I can see everything's in line. I've only got one hand. But no, I haven't. I've got two. You know what I mean? It's, yeah, you get these moments of kind of go, wow, okay. Oh, no, it's a bit confusing. Okay. Oh, look, there we go. A lot more sort of coming together. And it does that. It does it in a wave formation. And, I think this wave, I think a lot of people who are conscious of this change not necessarily know what the change is going to be, because I don't think anybody knows exactly what the change is going to be. We're all contributing to that consciousness or that reality that we are creating as we go along. There is no doubt about it. We are co-creating it, and the emphasis on the co, because it's like some people were sort of saying that you're creating your reality instantaneously. And I can sort of get that. The only thing is you're living in a computerized system that you live solely on enclosed within your own program. The thing is when if I was to go out to the road outside, and I was listening to this person who was sort of saying, you creating that road as you go. And you memorize that road, and therefore it just gets automatically created in front of you. The thing is also, you've got someone who actually built that road, and they're still alive, and that can remember building that road. And, how do you align the timelines, and is that person just a figment of your conscious creation? So there's many holes in that. But I do believe that to a certain extent, we are all co-creating the steps as we go forward. And having those light bulb moments, it does come in waves. And those people, for those people out there who understand that we're going through this transition, what it is, that's what's open to discussion, and that's what we're co-creating together. But I think we'll be looking at the outside world kind of going, yeah, well, that's obvious that had to happen. And it's almost, there's a lot of things that are going to be happening that we're going to be kind of going, right, yeah, get that, understand that. And I'm talking within the collective here, within the collective machine that we call governance and media, I guess, because that's primarily what it is. And it's going to be sculpted by technology, by AI, by that sort of thing, as we advance in multitudes of different sort of ways. So Chrissy says, totally agree. Agreed. There have been baby steps within the collective to begin the change of consciousness. That's exactly what I was talking about. Yeah, baby steps. But there's a lot of people, I think the majority, a lot of people actually understand that there's something happening here. And, the what is what we are creating. Okay, so when did the messages from energy and they were all kneeling down, did you glean what the meeting was about. Yes, it's a bit fantastical to sort of say. That's the problem I have at the moment. I'm very, very particular not to. Um, I have to have other confirmations than from one unique source, even if it's owned through my own source. I am, um, I am a healthy, um, pragmatic person. So I honestly believe the meeting was that it's almost as if like our it's almost as if creator is coming home. That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. And it feels that there's a certain degree of valor and honor that it's conveying that, and that encounter is still going on. I tell you now, it's still going on, and it's when you have a group of entities taking like the knee or something like that within that sort of, it's as if they become one. It's like through through meditation or prayer or whatever, whichever your connection is to the energy or universal thought or universal being. Once you step into that as a collective in a unison sort of way, you create a automatic wave machine. When they're looking after the portal, it's now becoming very much more automatic and automized sort of thing. And it's almost as if like certain things are being set in motion that cannot be undone. And that's the feeling I get about it. And I think that's what the celebration was all about it. This is from Julie, I saw like a jigsaw earlier that was showing me that everything has a place in life, be it horrible or beautiful. Everything has a purpose and everything has the same value. Everything is balanced. Everything is balanced at the end of the day. And you'll have the two extremes, and they will be in small quantities, but they will still be there. And this is where we come on to the whole sort of governance idea as well, is once we consciously get involved in it, you've got to understand that there is going to be people who have consciousness that doesn't have the same point of view of you, because they're approaching life in a different space or a different culture and a different way of doing things. And there's no far greater or lesser person than yourself. And it's if we can get to that point, then possibly we can really talk, and within that we will find solutions without doubt in any of it. But there seems to be, I don't know about you, do you feel like there's been like a certain powerful peace that has been installed over this week, that although the energies are really frantic as well, intense, I'd say at times, but it's a peaceful intensity. It seems that sort of way. I thought so also. Very reverent and humbling. Yeah. I get that. I get that. I get that. The whole sensation of the fact that we are being accepted. And yeah, living it is going to be really interesting. So ultimately, we will arrive there, won't we? Ultimately, well, yeah. Ultimately, we should arrive there. We can arrive there. How we arrive there, what condition we arrive in, that's what we got to look at, I think. Yeah, but I think we will get there, Sudi. I don't think we've got a choice in a way. Yes, I have had a very intense last 2 weeks, but I've stayed happy and glowing. Fantastic. Always, always. So this is from Chrissy. During lockdown, I had a vivid dream of mass global ascension. We rose up into a space without gravity or fear, brought before a being of pure light that offered humanity 3 choices. Oh, okay. 1, to shift in the new dimension. 2, to stay where we are. And 3, to cease carrying on. Yeah, I understand that. I think that choice has been there for some time, quite a long time. And I don't think cease to carry on. I think what I got, a similar sort of thing, but it was a case of kind of going, do you know what? I didn't quite fully understand that bit, so I'm going to go back and go and do that bit. Ceasing, I don't think is possible. Until the universe disappears. But but I can understand ceasing as in ceasing in the sense of, even if you stay where you are, you're still progressing but at a slower rate. And ceasing, in a sense, you are, because you're going back to the beginning. That's the feeling I get out of it. Who brought before being a pure light. So yeah. The thing is with light's an interesting thing. We look at it as a pure thing, and it's not pure, is it really? Because it's made up of multitudes of different colours. So it's actually quite impure, really, light. It also is the thing that holds the least amount of magnetic field. And also it is the thing that destroys everything. Darkness conserves it, doesn't allow it necessarily to live either. That's the thing. It's a chicken, not a chicken and an egg. It's a yin yang sort of explanation to it. You've got to live, and when you live, you get knocks and scrapes and knocks, as it were, be it emotionally, be it spiritually, be it physically, and those knocks and scrapes we use to carve what we would term as like our own personal totem pole of what we're living. We've all got our own story to tell, and that's what the Akashic Library is all about. And that's why it was started, because then there's a collective understanding and like a school of thought that goes into it, not just tied into one time. It's tied into a time that goes back over different ages now. We talk about different dimensions, but the problem with dimensions is that you need a massive physical change in between one dimension and another, whereas ages, it's not really that sort of similar. It's not that same sort of thing, and we've been through 4 ages already, and this is our 5th age that we're going into. Maybe that was my mind's way of interpreting source. Yeah, I totally get that. A pure being of light. The thing is, the pure brilliance of light. It is pure and it is brilliant. There is no other way really to describe it. I totally agree with you. Well, I'm just sort of, surmising at the idea of, of light as, like everything, it has its yin and yang factor about it. Um, you know, and I got to say, the figure that was presented to me was like that, I would say. And it was a being of pure balance. And I felt that this week. I felt nothing but that balance. True, honest balance. True, honest balance is really quite nice, and source is what it's all about. It's the source of our being. This is why I'd like to do the live where when the energy's coming through, seeing what's happening on that energy fields, on the ley lines and the energy lines, and what's coming through, and to do like a messages from energy. I've got to check when it's actually coming through. I should be able to see that. You should be able to see that on if you go on to heliosphere.org. And you go under choose the satellite, which is the I'll find it now. I'll find it now, and I'll try and show you. But it's let me see. I've just got to let me just, sorry about this, because I'm going to try and bring it up on your computer. Window capture. There you go. That is massive. Sorry, I'm just doing technical stuff here. This is where I'd like someone who knows what they're doing as a sort of like editing in chief. Let me just try and sort of sort that out so you can see it. Here you go. Let me just form that up. There you go. So you can see this on the left-hand side to me. So this is heliosphere. So if you go onto heliosphere on the left-hand side here, you'll see these boxes here, and then you can look at it says overlay, and this is where you choose the satellite. So what we're choosing is Soho, and then you can go on to underneath that you choose the satellite, the actual precise satellite that you're looking at, and we're looking at Lascaux. If we I'm going to go on to C3 because it's like so you can see how far it's how fast it's coming towards us. Let me just obviously my network is going a little bit too slow. So this is like the magnetic field of the sun. Okay, so you can that's the newest sort of like eruption that's been sort of happening, and you can see once we start going back. Oh, it's only going back by a minute. Let's go back by an hour. So this is going backwards. So there's obviously been some sort of I think that's the eruption that's come off. That came off this morning, possibly because this is quite a way away from the sun as a view. Well, that's it there by the looks of things. So and there's not been a great deal of dust, so that that there's not a great deal of plasma that's coming our way. And the other thing that we're going to be looking at, so that's the like the KP index. Let's go to that. That's that X flare that went off there. Let's have a look at what we got in the way of prediction of when that is coming off. And if it's coming in our direction. So we should be able to sort of see vaguely what time. There it is there. Seems to be happening there. Let's find out if we can find it on the other one. Because then we can control the time settings as well. So this looks like it's coming in this direction here. So we've got this first two ones that are coming off. That one comes off there. That came through. That's coming through tonight. So on the 4 o'clock in the morning, the UK time. That's roughly 3 o'clock in the morning UK time. And then that next one that's coming through there, and that hits us around about there. That's going to be the 11th of the 11th at 10 o'clock. UK time, so it's on the 11th of the 11th at 10 o'clock. So that'll be on Tuesday. I think that's when I'm going to be doing the live then. Tuesday night at 10 o'clock, roughly. So so that's what I'm working out there. Let's get back to what we were talking about. I haven't seen any of the comments now. Let me go back to that and see what's going on. Sorry, I might have lost you all, but it'd be really good to sort of see what's happening with the energy as it comes through there, in that sort of sense. Maybe there was a feature. Acceptance is profound. It's it certainly is. Accepting who you are, who you were, and who you can be. Accepting who you can be is really hard. Is quite hard. Is really quite hard because you put this pressure upon yourself to achieve or to be what you say you're going to be, and it can become really quite. That's quite hard to accept sometimes. But anyway, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe your experiences with messages energy influence your own energy. Yeah, totally. I think it does. Yeah, and it's one of the reasons why I do it, and I do it on a regular basis, even if I'm not filming it for the messages from energy. I will visit it regularly. It's a very good type of meditation to do every day. Keeps you in tune with things. And the funny thing is like when you get in tune with things, it's like you gain other priorities or other... and everybody goes through this, I think. And a lot of people will understand this, but you get different priorities in regards to what you perceive to be success or what you think is a good goal. Where if you went back in the 1980s, a good goal would probably be, having, owning several houses and what have you, you know what I mean? And it's that whole sort of goal thing has sort of changed. So it influences enormously my energy, yeah. Because that person I met is very close to me constantly at the moment. And it's giving me that humbling aspect to it all. It's very typical of that sensation of being a vessel for that conveyance, it's but that's on a personal level. I think that's also on a collective level as well. I think we've all got that sensation to convey an understanding and to sort of see, taking your understanding and putting it up to life and just kind of going, okay, that doesn't fit with that one. Oh, that fits with that one there, that thing there going on there. Oh, that fits with, what do these two things fit with? Like a jigsaw puzzle. Who was saying about jigsaw puzzle? Wasn't it you, Chrissy? Or someone was saying about being like a jigsaw puzzle. it does totally affect my own energy, yeah. And I felt, and I felt that reverberating. It was a beautiful experience. I can't say it's the only. I've had many experiences like that. Really, really quite, profound experiences. And that rate's definitely in with the top of them. It's been absolutely amazing. My daughter's trying to work her way into the front room at the moment, out of shot. She's after something. She's smiling at something. She's obviously, what are you after? Oh, right, okay. She's like, shut the door, and it's quite difficult to get the door open. So she's been trying to do it gracefully without making too much noise. None of that, darling. What's me, Julie? What's me? What's me? Oh, what's that all about? It's you knowing you. Is that, if we go back to, you sort of like, it's very, very intense and still staying happy and glowing, and that's, that's everything in its place, and that understanding of light bulb of who you are, who I am, and who I want to be. And it's quite difficult to accept it sometimes. I think I have a lot of problems with accepting who I am. Because it's quite intense. It's the best way to describe it. So, it's quite intense. So, being me, is that what you're saying, Julie? Do we need it to go faster or slower and so forth? That's also sort of, I think understanding, there's a certain thing I understand with sort of like, how do I put this? It's knowing when to push things and when not to push things. And I seem to have got into a very ease. It seems to be with ease, a lot more with ease these days, of when to push and when not to push. That could be. It could be down to my age. You know what I mean? I'm not 20 years old anymore, and but I've never really worried about that sort of thing. But it could well be something to do with me age. But at the same time, it feels that the energy is much more sort of like allowing a respiration of understanding and exploring. What are you after? Pardon? Your charger? Is it not there? Is it not there? No. Oh, no, it's for the... no, it's not that one. Because that's on the other thing. There you go. You got it. Kids keep you alive, don't they? Julie was referring to her mentioning the jigsaw. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, okay, thank you. See, this is how the jigsaw's fitting together. Okay, yeah. So it was you, Julie. Yeah, so totally. I saw it like a jigsaw earlier on, showing me that everything that has a place, be it horrible or beautiful. Well, even the horrible stuff looks really good, doesn't it? I think me internet went then. Sorry, that's all right. No worries. We got it sorted, as we would do, and we will do together, always. I think there's a massive shift coming in regards to. It's like most people who are within our world, as it were, can see that big wave coming. and you can see it coming from a long way away. And now it's starting to crest and break onto, just before the shoreline, as it were. And that's the truth in action. That's what, and so we know it's coming, and as more and more waves come through and start crashing in, at some point you will know the wave that you are supposed to ride it into the shore. So it's so then we all end up in the same place, although we may have started the journey at different times, and our understanding is different as we go forward, or go into this. We've all learned different things at different paces and what have you, but it's all going to be coming together. And all of a sudden, I think teaming up with other people, connecting with other people, working with other people, which have a similar sort of knowledge and understanding, but not the same, and making things compatible with one another, I think is going to be really important. So when I was doing, when we started the healing centre back in 10, 12 years ago, whatever, how long ago it was now, it was how to put together different types of therapy that on paper may seem completely at odds with one another, but once you start bringing them together, then you can start noticing like-minded things, like-minded callings, and it's like the most stark relative one was working with people who work with Ayurveda, which is Indian medicine and Indian well-being, and yoga and massage and lots of things like that, and also sort of a lot to do with food and everything like that. But then you also had that similar sort of understanding in Chinese medicine, and Chinese medicine. I'll get onto that in a minute, Sudi. Yes, and sometimes you can see them at odds with one another, almost like competing in a way, and other things that are overlap totally, that are saying the same things. And then there's other things that I discovered that, say, like if you take certain degrees of acupuncture, and acupuncture points that increase your flow of energy, and when it does, you end up working the Pitta, the four elements, or the five elements of Ayurveda. And so it's almost as if like one was activating the other, vice versa. It doesn't matter which side it came from. And so actually the differences which creates the activation actually becomes a constructive difference rather than a destructive difference. And I think that is that is the moment of understanding that we bring it into our everyday physical life. And I think that's going to become a lot more evident. So say like a naturopath will work a lot, alongside, say, like a yoga teacher in regards to what you're eating, in accordance to what you're trying to stretch and so forth. And you can also, we used to do this in the healing center as well, was working with yoga and chakras and emotional outletting of the emotion that is stored within the physical body. So and it was a beautiful time of exploration and connecting a lot of dots between multitudes of different things. And I think that's going to become incredibly much more important in the future. Barry, how are you, my love? How you doing? Lovely to see you. Absolutely lovely to see you. You're gonna have to give me your email because, like, I was worried about you. I haven't seen you for some time. How you been? It's good to see you anyway. Absolutely beautiful to see you. Yeah, so I've noticed that Shuli was saying there's noticed change in your energy over the past few weeks. You seem calmer and more at ease. Of course, it could be your age. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it could be my age. But I do. I feel like there's, obviously in what I'm involved in. There was a phrase that I came out with that stupid exists everywhere, and within energy and the spiritual movement and everything like that, there is a lot of stupid as well. And it really used to, I guess, frustrate me a little bit or annoy me. And it was because it's easy to play on things to the clickbait and everything like that. And I don't really do that. And maybe I've let go of just worrying about it. Maybe that's what it is as well. Got to be in the age, although chilled, of course, dealing with us lot. I'm chilled with dealing with you lot. Am I? Good. So this is from Parry. Hi everyone. Hi Tom and everybody. With love and best wishes from the peacefulness and joyous celebration of being alive right now, with delight and pure joy. Doing well, enjoying the time given with wonderment and creativity through flexibility and persistence. We all are a work in progress. We most certainly are, Barry. Yes, we are. And it's great to be part of it. It's great to be part of it. When you see how people do paintings, I've got a really good friend of mine who started being a painter years ago. And she was doing particular paintings. And, at that time, it was years and years ago. Must have been about sort of 10, 12 years ago, maybe a little bit less. And, she was talking about how could she develop it and everything like that. And she just found this moment where everything sort of clicked into place. And she's found the way she does her stuff. And it is through layering as well. And, when you see people doing painting, they put in a particular layer at the base, at the beginning. And you may not necessarily see that layer in the future, in the final piece. You may not notice that layer in the final piece, but it is part of it. And each of us are a layer in the creation, as you say, sort of, Parry. We all are a work in progress, and on an individual level, and then also within a collective level. And it's beautiful to be part of that. It really is beautiful to be part of that. Astounding sometimes when you look at the human race, you kind of go, "Oh my, giddy up! Really? You know, it's just not possible." And then you go back to it and you look at it and you kind of go, "Yeah, it's what are you after, ever?" He's on the kitchen table by the fruit bowl. That's where I put it. That's why I put it, by the fruit bowl. Love kids. Anyway, it's a pleasure and a gift to have such a magnificent gift of life unfolding moment by moment with love and harmony in a place of gratitude. Certainly is. It certainly is. And I think we can become a lot more sort of productive and creative when we do sort of kind of go that. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. And as you said, even in its most horrific moment, there's a lot of beauty as well in the whole sort of thing. And I think we're knowing how to. All layers contain somatic energy. Beautiful. Certainly does. Certainly does. It is. That's why it is an expression of a vibration in a layer that gives an impression upon the overall picture that we're seeing. Focusing on what we love, how to present with kindness and empathy. Yeah. Which is quite difficult sometimes, because we get involved in kind of going, you're so intense, and sometimes, before, and this could well be part of the change as well, the intensity of what we would like to share with the world around us, that we forget about being, I was investigating. I've been investigating energy, obviously, for a very, very long time. Well, it seems like a very long time. 30, 40 years. When I think about it, and when I first started conveying it to people, I'd learned so far down the road that I couldn't convey it because I'd overstepped the understanding from where people were starting from. So I had to go back to the beginning and explain things in a really sort of like very simple way and build up the understanding through it. I've become a hugger. Oh, that's great. Hugging's great, which I never was very much out of character for me, as I'm a very private person. Yeah, hugging's brilliant. It's you can feel that purring inside of the energy of the person when you hug. And it's like when you completely different sort of situation here. Well, not a completely different situation. I've never really talked about it, but the energy of making physical love with another person. It's hugely, energetically speaking, it is a commitment beyond most other things. Because when you do, you break that barrier that is the impermeable layers of your aura between you and the other person. And so, making love, because that's why we prefer to say it rather than copulating, for example, is a highly emotional and energetic activity which should be practiced with someone that you are in line with, and I wouldn't suggest it any other way, and hugging is not like that, but it is in a way a little bit like that. It is absolutely a sacred sort of energy. Hugging is a very wonderful thing to share. It is great. I love hugging. Hugging's great. In France they didn't, they weren't quite ready for huggers. But the weird thing is in France, obviously they don't shake hands, they kiss, but they kiss on the cheeks with the person they meet, and it's really important. And it's depending on where you are in France, depends on how many kisses you do. in Paris it's I think it's 4, or is it in Marseille that's 4, and then there's 3 on the west coast, and there's it's right quite. Okay, Sully, love to you, enjoyment to you, enjoy to you, and what have you. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a lot. I'm doing a lot of background stuff at the moment, that will be coming out in the near future. Um, so got a lot of things on at the moment. So that's why the Sunday lives have been a little bit skew-if at the moment. So I'm not going to be staying on too late, because most productive times can be in the morning, and I think that's what needs to happen. I need to get a bit more productive within the morning rather than later at night. So yes, Suli, have a lovely week to you. Parry, it's absolutely lovely seeing you. Chrissy, thanking you very much for your sort of interjection and engagement. Julie, thanking you very much as well for all of your insight as well of what's going on for you, and also for you, Frisia, thanking you very much for all of the inputs and insights. Yes, absolutely lovely to see everybody. And Sissy as well, have a lovely week. So yeah, it's absolutely beautiful to see everybody. Try and get I'll try and get some more videos out on Somatic TV, because there's a lot going on with the energy at the moment. It really is shifting in a lot of ways, and it's very mechanical on Somatic TV. And I purposely that's why I've had to separate the two, because it's not everybody's cup of tea, and I think giving people a choice between the two is a really good sort of thing. I will have a wonderful week. Many thanks to you as well, Chris. So yeah, you have a lovely week as well. And we will all see each other in the near future. There will be changes that is coming up on this channel as well, in the way in which I organise things and the way I do things. I think in the future, the live is going to be uniquely for members and so forth. It will go out on the channel afterwards, but it's going to be for members and so forth, because I'd like to get into building bridges and creating consciousness, and it's much easier to do that. Thanking you, Parry, for being here. A lot of energy going your way. I hope everything's working out for you in that sort of front. And everything's clearing for you. It'd be absolutely beautiful to see. Lots of hugs to everyone. Yes, of course, Julie, thanking you very much. I will see you all very soon. Yes, thanking you for being here. Don't forget, life should be fun. So, whatever you're doing, I'll get my dots in the row in a minute. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep living your life. Sometimes it's difficult to sort of like see reason and see the results, but keep going, because I think it's essential, not only for us as individuals, but certainly for us as a collective and so forth. I will see you all soon. Thanking you very much for being here. In the meantime, that's all for me left to say is don't forget, life should be fun, so please do enjoy.